The city of Los Angeles has been passing a litany of anti-homelessness laws, essentially criminalizing being homeless, and people in the community are standing up.
I'm just here to say, it is very clear that the city council doesn't give a damn about children, about homeless families. Because if they did, the 17,000 children that you continue to put in front of this ordinance would not exist. I'm going to say also to item 40, the counterinsurgency, the community policing. That is just another community robbery by the LAPD, another robbery of the budget. We're going to say the only way that folks are safe, our social determinants of safety, is not more bullets and not more batons and not more police officers. For us, safety is defined by housing. Safety is defined by health care. Safety is defined by opportunities and not the politicking.
But the response to people in the community simply showing up to city council meetings to demand even a shred of humanity for homeless people are being met with militarized violence. Can there be any question that the United States is a police state, where police in riot gear are storming into city council meetings to brutally repress anybody that dares speak up against the laws that criminalize homelessness? I mean, think about it. Homeless people are some of the most vulnerable people in our society, and they exist purely because of policy failures, because elected leaders refuse to do anything about real estate speculators, about the investors that are taking over the entire housing market, about the fact that landlords keep making extreme profits, that they are quite literally bleeding working class people dry and making it nearly impossible to live anywhere. Our system actively is creating homelessness. And then when homeless people show up to complain about it to city councils, they are met with police. And what is deeply infuriating is that there are countless mothers and children who are homeless to this very day. And this is the thing. Many other countries have solved this problem, and they have solved this problem in a litany of ways. You can look at the way that Cuba and China have solved homelessness by implementing widespread land reforms, doing government land lease programs, and making sure that everybody has access to housing, that housing is not treated as a commodity. But then there are other countries that have dealt with homelessness in less effective ways, but ways that still make a pretty significant difference, which is basically minimum standard of living laws that exist in places like Sweden, and other housing policies that exist in places like Berlin to try and make sure that rent is more affordable. At the end of the day, there are countless things that city councils could do to eliminate homelessness within their city, because it's not like there's not enough housing. There's actually plenty of housing. The problem is that housing is a second, third, fourth home of incredibly rich individuals, or it's sitting empty as an investment property that they hope to rent out to some bougie family. Or it's rented out through Airbnb, so nobody really is allowed to live there, but golly gee, isn't it great that rich people can go vacation there? And this is the problem, is that as long as we allow housing to be a commodity that is something that people can invest in, that is treated as something that should be an investment for profit, then we are not going to solve the crisis of homelessness, and it is only going to get worse, because as income inequality expands in the United States, less people will be able to afford rent. But instead of doing anything about this problem, city councils around the United States of America are so corrupt and in bed with the real estate industry that instead of actually listening to their constituents or passing any type of law that meets the needs of the people, they will literally bring in a militarized police force to suppress any type of dissent. And it doesn't stop there. To this very day, with regularity across the country, police departments will storm into camps that homeless folks have set up for themselves so that they can try to survive, and they will steal every possession they have, they will destroy every possession that they have, and they will commit acts of violence against these homeless folks for simply daring to set up a tent somewhere in a hopes that they may be able to survive in peace. Which makes it incredibly difficult, because if you have police officers stealing their money, if you have police officers stealing their IDs, destroying their bicycles, destroying their tents, destroying every possession that they have, then what you have is a situation where it becomes even more difficult to escape homelessness. If a police officer found and threw away your wallet while you were sleeping, how are you supposed to apply for a job if you don't have an ID? How are you supposed to go to the store if you don't have your credit card? If you don't have any cash that you might have got the day before? And how are you supposed to sleep if you don't have even a blanket? So to all the people who feel a little bit uncomfortable when you see like a homeless person or whatever, I need you to think for one moment what it would be like to be homeless. What would it be like to actually be living on the streets? And understand that they're a heck of a lot more uncomfortable than you are. And if seeing homeless people makes you upset, then maybe you should be asking the city council to give people housing instead of asking the city council to violently remove homeless people from your neighborhood. Because if we lived in a morally just and humane society, then this shouldn't even be an issue. Plenty of countries have solved this problem. And it turns out it's as simple as just giving people homes unconditionally. In China, for example, if a police officer sees a homeless person, their job is to give that person a bus ticket or train ticket to their hometown, to reach out to their family, to reach out to local government services, to get them set up with a place to live, and to get them set up with some type of vocational training, some type of therapy, whatever services they need in order to get back on their feet. And that system to me is a heck of a lot better than a system where police officers simply take all of their possessions and potentially even arrest them simply for being homeless. We live in a society where it is considered criminal to be poor. And while you think this wouldn't affect you, the reality is most Americans are one medical event away from being homeless themselves. And as we see increasing crises due to climate change, due to the collapse of our economy, and the increased income inequality, we are only going to see this violence expand. The violence that we are currently seeing against the homeless population in the United States of America is a canary in the coal mine for where this country is going more broadly. And if we refuse to stick up for the most marginalized people today, then we will find ourselves in that very same position tomorrow.